Man. In too good a shape. That's, it's, you know, in two, or something. Speaking of two, welcome to the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, everyone. I'm Brad, hanging out with Josh.
Yep, that's what's going
on. This is a podcast in which we rate and review an album that is turning 20 years old, mostly metal for whatever it's worth. I don't know what to say about that this week, and I'm happy about it.
Okay.
Josh and I each give a rating of 1 to 5 to 4 different parameters for an individual maximum point total of 20 and a combined maximum point total of 40. And, yeah, Josh, what are we getting into?
This week we are getting into a band from Irvine, California. The album was released October 18th, 2005. So just 1 week after last week's Story of the Year album came out.
Yeah. We definitely didn't say that on the episode and then go, we should just do Thrice next week.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh.
And this week
alert.
we're doing Thrice.
I'm sorry. I ruined the whole bit.
It's all right. I didn't want to do it anyway. So that you just kind of accelerated the process. Yeah, it's the 2005 album Vheissu from Thrice.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I'm glad we haven't been doing this for 2 fucking years and I just did that.
3.
Kind of. 3 ish, 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah, Thrice. A band I am sad I didn't get into before. And I'm not even saying that is good for this or not. They're just an interesting band that probably would have done me some good musically in 2005. Nice. Well done.
All right.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
So this is trending toward an episode where you and I are going to switch places on kind of our roles and bits for the show. I'm probably going to go on several rants and tangents. And
interesting.
Yeah, I've got stuff to say.
Wow, I don't even know what. All right, buckle up, everybody.
Buckle up. Thrice, Irvine, California, California scene. Active for 7 years at the time of this release. So formed in 1998. Pretty cool. Pretty early, actually.
Yeah.
3 releases in that time frame. Identity Crisis in 2000, The Illusion of Safety in 2002, and The Artist in the Ambulance in 2003. So just cranking shit out.
Yeah, and The Artist in the Ambulance is the one that blew them the absolute fuck up, and rightfully so. Though it sounds nothing like this, for whatever it's worth, nothing at all. Impressively so. Again, I don't mean impressive with a negative or positive connotation, but that is a line in the sand. We have 2 albums in a row, essentially, in my opinion, where 2 bands decided, I'm doing a thing, and fuck everybody else around us. But yeah, that was the album that blew them up. And this wasn't a band I avoided for any particular, me being all dumpy about, I need my metal to metal all the time.
Yeah.
I just kind of
know that anybody was really into them, in our scene or not. Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the bands that we played with. Caleb was super into them.
Oh, yeah.
Was super into them. Yep. Yeah. Jordan Guyton liked Thrice, actually, quite a lot. So, I mean, it was even within my purview. I just didn't... I don't remember me choosing to avoid this. I just... And Deadbolt ended up being on Guitar Pro by them. It was off of, the 2 albums before, I think, their first release.
Oh, okay.
If you heard it, you would remember it because of Guitar Hero. We played it a lot.
Gotcha.
It's got really sick drum parts in it. Anyway, sorry. Didn't need to derail. At least it was about Thrice, I guess.
Yeah.
That's growth.
Totally blanking on what I was going to say.
Hey, man. At least
I
you
had
didn't
a
ruin the
thing.
whole episode like 2 minutes in, like I did.
Oh yeah. So Story of the Year, last album, got a lot of comparison to Thrice, especially in the reviews. So, but this album came out a week later, so like I don't
It was
know if
definitely not
anybody.
this they were getting.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
and
no,
I
no.
listened
But they,
to Image of the Invisible, and I was like, okay, I could see it. But after listening to this album, I was like, these could not be more different. Like, this is water polo and baseball.
Or like professional wrestling in
2025. Yeah, they're both technically sports.
Yes, technically. No, I completely agree. Now, I will say the previous two albums, I definitely get where the Story of the Year Thrice comparisons come from.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just they released those comparisons about a week too early.
Yeah.
Because nope, not even a little. They are absolutely nothing alike in any measurable way.
No.
Yeah, it's wild actually. I can't believe these two albums came out within a week of each other. Like they sound not a single thing about them sounds similar. The production's wildly different. The songs are wild, like, and they're technically you could put them both in post-hardcore,
and they did.
Like
the
you
wiki
easily
page
could.
has them on post-hardcore, emo, progressive rock, which is probably where I would put this album most.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably cover it in post-hardcore. What I wouldn't call it is emo. No. Whatever amount of emo they had going on in the first two records, which honestly I think emo I mean, if you take emo as a negative thing, which I don't know why, you shouldn't. It's fine. It's just a genre of music.
It is.
And they just, they had hair. Yeah, that was different.
There's a lot of people doing emo whiny, which I guess probably is the reason for the negative connotation. But if you take it as like, emotional.
Yeah, it's just a genre. It's fine. Well, we're all something.
We are all something.
But yeah, I the emo part has just left the building at this point for sure.
So this album was released on Island Records, who you might remember from The Killers, and they have every current pop artist on the label. And this was their second release on Island Records.
Yep.
So part of why they were charting, this album actually charted at 15 on the Billboard 200. So
that's nuts.
Up there.
That is quite up there. Again, it's not hard to believe given the one before it was just it was huge. I mean, massive for this sort of genre too. Like it was. Yeah. It was like them and I don't want to compare them to Under Oath too much, but.
You can, especially in 2003, 2005.
For sure. Yeah.
We did.
Also, yeah, that's probably true. Also, same members the whole time?
The whole time, yep.
That's insane. And so we normally wait until the album, but I guess I'll just give you the fucking members because
and I'm going to let you do it because of the guitar player.
Yeah, see, I actually shouldn't have done this. All right, so we've got on lead vocals, rhythm, guitar, and percussion, which, listen, yes, here's my question to you. Since they're the same on either the full list or the album, would you like me to read off what each person did listed on the album?
I don't want you to read either.
Okay, good.
I want you to stick with basic vocals, guitars, drums, and bass. That's what I want from this.
Not the Glockenspiel?
No, not the goddamn Glockenspiel. Fucking. This is where I'm going to get angry.
Okay. Oh, man, this is awesome. I did not see this come. Wow,
You don't have to list both people on the fucking Rhodes piano. Just have it in. You think Dimmu Borgir lists out every single piece of instrumentation that's credited that's played on their albums? No. They just play the damn things and they move on. Like, I don't need to know that you did the music box for tracks 7 and 9. Just let it fucking be there. Like, you don't need your flowers for that.
Oh my god.
You played guitars. You can do backing vocals, I'll give you that. Bass guitar, backing vocals, okay. Synthesizer, bass synthesizer, cool. No.
Well,
I don't care what tracks either. I don't care which specific. I can hear it. Let me just hear it.
If I may rebuttal it, not to say that you're wrong, but I think the through line when we see this sort of breakdown, which is obnoxious and kind of stupid, it's because they're on these labels that require them, I believe, to do so. And I'm assuming that you're just getting someone looking at the booklet in the album and then just copying and pasting directly into the wiki, because this happened with the Killers, and this happened with basically every big band, or especially like when we did Jay-Z and Linkin Park. That could have been its own wiki, just the folks, like the people on the thing.
That's more worthy of like, hey, I'm on this, not like I played the glockenspiel on track 4.
I'm just saying, I sincerely doubt the band was like, make sure you credit me with the fucking glockenspiel as much as...
I disagree. I think they personally wanted that. Like the wiki reads like it was written by the band too.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. I will say, like, so I am playing devil's advocate a little bit, only because we do see this every time it's a giant label. Every single time we do see that breakdown. However, I will also tell you that it's really not... It's really difficult to not be judgy toward them when you read how the recording of this album came to be.
Oh, I hated it.
It's not great.
It's dripping with pretense from top to bottom.
It is. It was very incredibly difficult for me not to. It's hard not to. So for me as an artist,
let
right?
It fuel my rage.
And it was hard for me not to. I did go on it. I did. Yes. For me. See, I keep wanting to say douchey. I'm not saying that's even, but that's not wrong. It's apt. I can't hear how it actually went, so I don't know. But the way that it reads, you're right, sounds pretty rough. It sounds like they were the smartest dudes in the room, no matter what room they were sitting in, and they refused to let anyone else tell them that they were not.
Or they just got a bunch of people who are like, oh, yeah, these guys are the smartest guys in the room. Like,
see, it didn't seem like that to me. Because it seemed like they were on, producer 4 or 5 before they actually kept a dude. So that doesn't seem like a room full of execs going, yeah, do whatever you want. It sounded to me like a room full of execs going, my God, fine, I don't know, what the fuck ever.
Right.
Like, do your thing, I guess. Like I always hate it.
The whole thing read like Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football.
Yes, that is.
I haven't seen a surprise play like that since Gorbachev convinced the Politburo to put a Pizza Hut in Red Square. Like, geez, come on, guys.
I know. So I do. So I have a thought on this, and it's funny that we kind of went.
Need to hear it.
In the. So okay, again, I'm trying not to. Douchey is the word I kind of default to when it comes to this sort of thing, and by thing, I'll explain myself.
Karen's a douche.
Every time. Good job. That was really good. That disarmed me completely. Normally when I hear the stories about like we went out and we rented a fucking 1800s Victorian home because we needed that inspiration to make sure that our art form was really fully fleshed out. That makes me want to bash my head against the wall because for me, I think you should be able to get your artistic approach across whether you're constrained or whether you're not. And in fact, if you can do it while being constrained, then I actually find that more impressive than if someone just gives you a boatload of money and says, yeah, go do this however you feel necessary to quote unquote inspire you.
Constraints set you free.
I tend to agree. However, if every time I heard that story, which there are many, right? Like, I mean, every band, like Norma Jean did that, which we are going to do Norma Jean later this year. We actually might have a special guest for that one. Yeah, that's one of them. But like, they went and what did they do? They rented the house.
So like Green Day did kind of this, but they were Green Day at that point. Like, you get a pass.
Sure. Well, but Thrice was too. The album before this, they were headlining massive. I mean, that you are discounting them there, I would say objectively, because they were huge. I mean, they were right lockstep with Under Oath as far as how big they were.
But not Green Day.
Under Oath. No, but like if no one in the world of our music is going to ascend to Green Day, like if they even kind of keep a little bit of their identity.
No, but like Green Day had the catalog. They had the tenure to kind of make that switch and make that choice. These guys have been a band for 7 years. Yes, they've put out 3 albums, and yes, one was on a major record label. But like,
but do you care about tenure? Like, that's like the argument at work that tenure should be anything more than a tiebreaker, and like, I agree that tenure should be nothing more than a tiebreaker for most things. So I don't really care. Like, they were big at the moment.
They were big at the moment.
So I mean, if they were,
and they did want to do something different than what they had done before, which I do respect.
I'm not telling you I'm not conflicted, at least a little bit in the way that you are. I guess I just came out a little bit on the other side. Fair. I was. But I will say, like, again, if every album that had this kind of story, which I promise the Norma Jean album, it has something similar. It was like, I don't know, it was tied to Nirvana in some way, the house that they rented to be in it and write them. Even though, God, wait till we get the production on that.
It was where Led Zeppelin wrote Stairway to Heaven.
Sure, something stupid like that. If every album that I had to hear a story like that was just dripping with condescension toward the rest of their peers, if all of them ended up like being like, I'm not saying this album is good or bad yet. I'm not going to get there. We will, obviously. But if it came out this seemingly impactful and meaningful that it sounds as if they really did the thing they wanted to do, I probably would be less harsh about it overall. But 9 times out of 10, every time I see that, I'm like, this sounds exactly like the record you made before it when you didn't do that. So
this doesn't, to your point. So this definitely has a different sound.
Yeah,
but
so I will say,
since we don't really cover it in the rating, like, I'll just say, like, I think it was unsuccessful. I think it was too many ideas trying to do too many things, and everybody wanting to shine the brightest. Like, this has piano on it because I wanted to learn how to play piano, so you're going to listen to me learn how to play piano because I have the venue for it.
Oh, this is
That's wild. The only reason it's on here. That is the only reason, is because, like, he wanted to learn how to play piano.
I mean, that last intro of a song that I wrote that I sent you, I only wrote that intro because I found a cool plug-in on my amp sim that I had never heard anything like it. So I wrote a whole
That's
intro.
A cool thing, though. That's not like I built up a fan base, so, like, I'm going to shove, like, my attempts down other people's throat, even though they may, half-baked as they may be.
Sure, that's fair. And I don't have a great argument against anything you're saying. You know what's funny? We didn't talk about it. I just, when we were talking about when we were going to meet up this morning, I needed a little extra time, because what I did yesterday is I listened to it pretty much all day.
Sure.
I haven't been doing that, but yesterday, like, while I was playing Nine Souls, I was listening to this album, which I will say there's a really cool synergy there. I don't know if that helped.
I could see that.
Whatever.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah, but, like, so I did that. I, like, allowed myself, because, and I wanted to point this out. Last week's episode, as we mentioned, was Story of the Year. Josh was absolutely right. All I really needed to do was listen to it like 2 or 3 more times. Now, we haven't amended any other ratings in the past. I am certainly not going to start now, but Josh was absolutely right. I should have just listened to it a couple more times. And that's what I did with this one, and how'd it go? For me, great. I can't believe we're falling this far on this. I thought every second of this thing was successful.
Damn.
I actually have a note that since we've started doing this, I haven't had an album that I had never heard before have such an impact on me currently than this one.
Interesting.
Like, I ate it up, and I actually had to step back from my judgy douchey thing about needing to build a studio in the middle of nowhere and spend 9 months there sort of thing. But I literally, when I was done, I was like, well, tomorrow I have to try to write a folk heavy Deftones song now, or try. I've never tried it, but I got to give it a shot because I was so inspired by this thing. And then I had to go, if I'm this inspired by a 20-year-old Thrice album, I guess I have to start maybe not talking shit about people who feel the need to go and be in the middle of nowhere for 9 months, dude. You know, I mean, maybe that's the thing. Maybe people need more of it than others, and I don't know. It really, this thing my day was positively impacted by the fact that I was choosing to listen to this while my day went.
That is a fantastic thing.
It was great.
I got 0 Deftones. I got 0 Story of the Year. What I did get a lot of...
I did get 0 Story of the Year, yeah.
Is Oh Sleeper. And Oh Sleeper wasn't a thing at this time, but As Cities Burn was.
Yeah, but I don't think this sounds like As Cities Burn.
I will have to re-listen to the CD that we're going to do, but like I got a lot of it.
Really? I don't think it even sounds remotely close.
I don't think the voices sound close, but...
I honestly, also, I think I've heard one As Cities Burn album, and it's probably not the one we're listening to this year, so...
It's almost certainly the one we're listening to this year.
Really? Then maybe I haven't... Hold on. Sorry. Sidebar.
Either that, or it's the song Gloria Glory Be off the follow-up album.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. I have no idea who As Cities Burn is.
What?
I mean, I know the name, but I'm looking at everything about this album, and this doesn't ring a bell at all.
Oh, man.
Yeah, weird.
Spoiler.
I always thought As Cities Burn was just a generic metalcore band. So
you are in for something.
Something, yeah. But no,
I was going to say treat, but I can't promise that.
That's fair. I mean, if it's like this, I mean, I will say my thoughts are incredibly positive. Because, yeah, I did find a lot of Deftones and a lot of, I don't know, a lot of Botch was on there for sure. They did a lot of Botch heavy stuff, which I dig. Honestly, some of it sounded like, maybe not Nine Inch Nails, but that era of like, you know, that The Cure song from the Crow soundtrack that I really like, Burn, a lot of that kind of feeling on it, which I really dig. The atmosphere was my whole thing on this thing.
The atmosphere is pretty solid, but it did get a little long in it got too broody for me at times. And
that's
like
fair.
Shit. I was gonna say, I had one more thing I wanted to say, like about like the overall thing, but it has escaped me at the moment.
Oh shit, that's
I know. Oh well, no,
I mean,
here we go. I was gonna say, to me, the album came across as these guys wanted to try and bake a cake. Like, there's plenty of people out there who know how to bake a cake. They know all the right ingredients. They know the right proportions. Like, which I guess is the experience that they had making the previous album. Somebody handed them a recipe and said, do this. These are your ingredients. This is the amount. This is how you bake a cake.
Yeah.
But they kind of just like, we want to bake a cake, but without a recipe. And we're going to use whatever ingredients we have. We're going to use all the ingredients, whether they belong in a cake or not. Like, so this is like a trout cacao nib attempt at a cake, and they forgot leavening. And like, you need a leavener. You need to buy need certain things to do certain things in order for it to come out as a cake.
This could not be further from what I expected you to think about this album. I have never been more. I was like, man, we're gonna this will be one of the most agreeable albums we've ever heard.
And I listened to it several times before even reading the wiki. Like, I wanted to try and get it, and maybe it was just lost on me. Like, maybe I was never in the right setting, or
that's fair.
But so here we go. Give you the all music
Go for
summary.
it. Those dudes.
They gave it a 3 out of 5. The user review was a 4.5 out of 5. So that kind of, here we are.
Yeah, apparently.
They said, in Vheissu's most opaque moments, you wonder, is this for everyone or just the converted? Those kids standing next to their stereos in salute.
Huh. I mean, yeah, I could see it.
So, if it resonates with you, it's going to resonate hard. If it doesn't, it really isn't.
Part of me, too, was like, we've been listening to a lot of albums from 2004, 2005. Obviously, that's what we're doing here.
Yep.
And it is, for me, it was like, the feeling of it was the weight that I felt at the time with everything that was going on in the world. And as much of the albums we were listening to really hit that on the nose really hard. Like, obviously this is an overcorrection as far as the example, but Gwar, their album in 04, it was, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's of course it's dead on and to the point. It's Gwar. That's what they do.
Politically bound.
Because that's what they do. Yeah.
Like bombs.
Yeah.
Exploding.
Yeah, exactly.
Very well.
And I felt good about it. But this, to me, wasn't so on the nose, but still conveyed the same emotion that was kind of going through everybody. Maybe not me at the time necessarily, but in retrospect, the weight that was kind of on us, as seems to be the case right now. But no, I just liked that they seemed to provide the heaviness that a lot of the bands were trying to convey in their lyrical content and whatever, but they did it in an emotional sense rather than like a preachy sense.
Sure.
So I dig that too. But yeah.
Yeah, did you read all the lyrics?
I did. I will. There are definitely religious themes.
He was reading C.S. Lewis at the time,
for sure. And none of them are on the nose though. It's all very, very well done. And
because he was reading
funny.
C.S. Lewis at the time.
Well, it worked. I will say, if that's good on you, it really played well into the hand that you were trying to deal. But yeah, it wasn't too on the nose. And I don't know. It really, the way he wrote it, it seemed like whatever he cared about, he cared a lot about.
Sure.
And I just kind of dig this guy's passion until I read that section of the recording. Yeah. And then I had to like go, do I? But yes, I do. And it ended up being a net positive for me, despite the little douchey, no, we want the guy who did, fucking Duran Duran. It wasn't that, but you know what I mean? They're like, no, we want the guy who did fucking whatever, U2 and other weird 80s and 90s stuff.
U2 is the big one for sure. B-52s, the Aha, New Order. They liked him because he did Placebo and Doves. But Vanessa Carlton.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Steve Osborne, by the way.
Steve Osborne. Yep. Yeah, I was just about to say. So I found reading that to be insufferable, but I felt like the result made it palatable rather than not, which is surprising for me.
Yeah.
That's not usually how I roll. Usually once I find you to be douchey, that's where I live, in my opinion. But yeah.
Steve Osborne actually is credited with backing vocals on track 1, so maybe he jumped in on the gang vocals. Percussion on track 2. Moog on track 6.
I don't even know what that is.
And programming on track 11.
Huh. Well, a lot going on.
Yeah, active hand in the production process.
Yeah, for sure. Man, this is crazy. This is blowing my mind right now.
This guy, he bought into what they were selling, which, good for him and good for them. Find somebody who shares your vision and can help you execute it.
For sure. Yeah. And that, again, I guess if you have to be that band up until you get there, if the result works, I guess I'm apparently okay with it. Now, if you're like Foo Fighters and you put out a Foo Fighters record that sounds like a Foo Fighters record, then I'm like, okay, everybody relax. You did not need to go buy 10 acres of fucking ground for them. Maybe you did. I don't know. Maybe that's how you had to do it. But anyway. Well, this is
the
crazy.
last thing I'll say about the douchiness The last thing I'll say about it is like
doesn't have to be. I say it a lot.
They were talking about they wanted it to be a concept album. It was going to be a concept album about the ocean, and then none of the music or lyrics had anything to do with the ocean. But they doubled down. They're like, yeah, but it kind of underlies everything.
It does.
It's like, yeah, the ocean does underlie everything. Like,
man, you're gonna hate
water.
Me for this.
It's a basic element. Everything underlies everything. Assholes.
Man. So before I read that, let me find. Hold on. See if I can find where I put it.
There is a song that has like vaguely whale song tones in it, but I certainly wouldn't say that the entire album is a concept about the ocean, at least not in the way that From Mars to Sirius was a concept album.
No, but the fact that they say that was the plan and that it didn't actually end up panning out quite that way. But anyway,
that part I get for sure.
But there are lyrical themes about the ocean in it, for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
But before I even read that, so this is my note. I was like, first of all, I love the fact that in a world of Spotify, you and I have given ourselves the fortunate task of actually having to sit down and listening to a full album from front to back. I actually appreciate. It's my favorite thing about our podcast is that I have to do that whether I want to or not, and it kind of keeps me honest. And I think there's no other way to listen to this album. And if you already don't like it, I don't know jumping in is really going to help. I think you're probably just going to be into this, and it's a thing that you dig, and then the whole thing is going to be a thing that you dig. To your point about the user versus the yeah, exactly. But for me, this album was like heavy when it needed to be, uplifting when it needed to be, but it was always followed by something melancholy after the uplift, and it actually made me feel like I was floating in the ocean with no life raft, and just every time that you think you can't keep yourself above water, you just find enough strength to get your head back up. That's the feeling I got while listening to this album, and that was before I read the wiki about the ocean thing.
That's super cool.
In fairness, I don't know if that's what they mean, but that is how I felt listening to it. So, causation, I don't know.
I never got any uplifting bits. Like, I didn't get a single positive thing from this. Like, even in the lyrics, nothing resonated with me at all.
Interesting. Wow. This is nuts.
I do agree with you on, like this is being adrift in the ocean, like, on a piece of splintered wooden boat.
Yeah.
But there is no lifeline. Like, I never saw even a mirage of hope in this.
Well, that's fair. So if we may start maybe with the track by track.
Yeah, let's
the reason that I love the last track on the album at track 11, Red Sky, is because there's the little
Red Sky at Night, Sailor's Delight.
Is that what?
Yeah.
What is that?
Red Sky in the morning, sailors take warning.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, actually, no, I'll go back a little bit. So at track 9 of Dust and Nations, there's that little high kind of diddle going on throughout the song. I like the high diddle. Yep. Yeah, and that's very positive. It's mostly in normal minor with some major bits, so it actually does sound very uplifting, even though the song underneath it doesn't necessarily. And then Red Sky to me did sound like the continuation of that feeling where even though he's sinking, there's like a positive rush that he feels because he realizes that's the better outcome. That's how I took it. So I felt like that was the journey coming to its end in a way that even the protagonist, if there was one, felt as if it should. So I actually did feel positivity towards the last 3 songs of the album, which I thought was really cool because when you are done with Red Sky, it does immediately, you hear the fuzz and the Morse code on track 1.
Right.
Which is almost like, funny enough, Dredge, the game that you are playing right now. And, it almost makes me feel like that whole when you crash and you reset. And it's like, you don't know if the crash was the right thing or not because everything else around you is a hellscape. So is that the positive end or is it not? And then you start back up with the Morse code and you're like, shit, I have to live through this again. So I don't know. It did whatever they were going for. They got me. They hook, line, and sinker. I fell for all of it.
That's it.
Good, bad, or otherwise. Yeah. I had a day. I had a day with that shit yesterday.
That is fantastic. Yeah. To your point though, like the last 3 songs, I mean, track 10's literally called "Stand and Feel Your Worth."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that is such a Deftones song. Like the
maybe
verse
we shouldn't have done this right after Story of the Year, because Story of the Year is so obviously uplifting.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. You could also argue that depending on how you like dealing with what's going on, this maybe not be the right album right now.
That's fair.
But I do find comfort in others expressing that they feel uncomfortable. So it's like,
yeah,
it's that whole I'm not the
shared
only person
struggle.
Really upset right now. Yeah, misery loves company sort of situation. So I do find a lot of comfort in that.
I don't like that the Morse code is just the name of the album. I mean, I get it. But
yeah. I don't know why I kept thinking of Vheissu, by the way. I know that's neither here nor there. Every time I would just kind of quickly look at it, I think of... And then I watched Good Eats yesterday because of that.
Sick. I would have gone with Batman. It's Vheissu, sir. It's supposed to be cold.
It's supposed to be cold. Then I look over and Vicky's just in the Batcave and I'm like, oh, hey, Vicky. Yeah, come on in. Anyway, I do love that movie. Also, R.I.P. Val Kilmer. I don't know how well this is going to line up time-wise, but R.I.P.
Certainly after.
Yes, that is accurate. Like, I don't know if even by then most people are like, Val Kilmer died? Like, I know it was only 2 weeks ago, but I know we all have me included, have a short attention span, but I watched Ghost in the Darkness.
I don't even know what that is.
This weekend. It's pretty early Val Kilmer. I want to say pre-Tombstone, but maybe I could be off on that. I watched Tombstone also, but I just kind of assumed you would have guessed that.
Yeah,
I watched that the night that I heard he died. But
it's a good call.
But yeah, no. What is it
Ghost
called?
in the
Something
Darkness?
in the Dark. Ghost in the Darkness. Yeah. It's about it's kind of loosely based on a true story where like a lion gets the taste of like human flesh and starts becoming like a hunter to local tribes and villages and stuff. And they hire and they hire this dude who Val Kilmer's character who is a hunter, and his like mentor is Michael Douglas.
Oh, okay.
And he's also a hunter, and they have to try to find it. So for a cast back in that period, it was pretty heavy hitting.
Yeah,
so,
no kidding.
Recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's very good. Sad, kind of. I don't like seeing a lion shot, even if it's fake. But if it's killing everybody. I wish they would have played that in the movie just to confuse everyone. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yep.
All right, well, track 1, like I said, we went back, Morse code, saying the name of the album, which that is a little odd. It's cool that the guy learned enough Morse code to do it himself.
Oh!
Yeah, you hate it.
That's
all right,
exactly what I'm saying.
But I would have done something. I do shit like that. I'm like, so, I mean, I don't know. I get it. Like, you get in a moment and it's like, you know what? I am finally going to teach myself how to use the weird sampler that Ableton has so I can put a weird drum loop beat here that I've never tried before, sort of thing, just to see what happens. I don't know. I dig it. I do see, though, why it's douchey. I'm not discounting how you're feeling about it. I do get it.
Maybe if it hadn't been so much and everything.
It is a lot.
Like, oh yeah, I learned Morse code. Like, oh yeah, I learned how to play the Rhodes piano. Oh yeah, well I did a bass synthesizer. Oh yeah, like, well we're gonna mess with the locations of this microphone. What if it was 2 millimeters to the right? How would that change the sound? There was just too much of that.
You do realize like 99% of productions do all of these things. They just don't talk about it.
I do realize that. Yeah, and they don't talk about it. Like, that's my problem, I think.
I get it.
Like,
yeah,
everybody does this, but like you guys are saying it like you're the first person. Like, has anyone ever thought of this?
Yeah.
Like, yes, literally everything. People bake cakes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Honestly, you're right. I actually don't
so
know if I helped or
sorry to
hurt
do
myself.
this on an album that actually had a positive impact.
Dude, that's the whole point. It's fine. This is beautiful. Oh man. No, it is great. Okay, so this is one thing I'm going to ask from this episode that I don't know if I've asked necessarily this straightforward. Let me go first on my favorite song on the album because I have it's like number one with a bullet for me. It's not even close. Like second is eighth. Now, I like the whole thing. And I like even the song that there's like a song or two that I think are maybe a little lesser than, but even them, I'm
Sure.
good with where they are in the album, so it works.
Yeah.
But okay, cool, because I want to hear about yours more than I care to.
That's fair.
Anyways, so wow, I don't know how much you want to get into the breakdown then, because it seems like that could further be infuriating. It's possible.
If you've got more things, I would love to hear them.
Oh, you know what's really funny? You know what we didn't do? So
the actual musician,
the actual members.
Yeah.
Because sorry.
Before
gang.
you do that, though, I will say, like, to your point and to your question about like the rise and the fall, and did I find any? Like, I will say about every third song, there was something that was able to grab my attention and be like, okay, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, all right. When we are done with this, I do have a favor. I'm going to send you the song that got me into them.
Sick.
And I want you to tell me what you think, because it's basically about like our current state and how we all chose, and it just could have been avoided.
Yeah. Weird.
That's literally what the song's about. So I'll send it to you. I'd like to know what you think, because maybe me starting at that point made it easier to step back into this. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And I did legitimately try. Like, I went back to the 2003 album where I was like, okay, what are the comparisons to Story of the Year? Like, even that didn't sound like Story of the Year, but it sounded like, I listened to this song, I think,
more so.
Paper Tiger, maybe? Something.
That sounds right. Well, look that up. And I will tell you the members of Thrice, which is hilarious that we started this and got here. Listen, I don't know why Cradle of Filth is clearly our best episode to apparently everyone who's ever listened to, or it's our worst. I don't know. I guess it could go both ways.
Right. These guys listen to this.
Exactly. And you know what that gives us? A listen, so thank you.
Yeah. Hey, smell this. It's disgusting.
Exactly. So I don't know what it is about that episode, but this is my favorite episode already, and I love the fact that this is where we landed. Anyway, members of Thrice then and now, I mean, there's no difference, which I think is very impressive.
It is.
Especially with the musical shifts that they make. I mean, there are albums that are just straight up acoustic folk for the most part.
Yep.
And his voice to me, well, let me ask you that. Just isolate his voice, and you know who his voice is? I still almost did it. I almost stopped again. Dustin Kensrue?
Sure.
Does that sound?
Yeah.
On lead vocals, rhythm guitar, and percussion. As far as I can tell, he seems to be the driving force a bit to the band. But I guess when you have the same album or the same members the whole time, I guess that's hard to judge.
I want to say Riley Breckenridge too, maybe, but a lot of the times the wiki's just saying Breckenridge, so maybe they're.
I mean, yeah, but Riley Breckenridge on drums and percussion. Tapai Taranishi, lead guitar, keyboards, backing vocals. And then Eddie Breckenridge, bass guitar, synthesizer, backing vocals, and occasional guitars. So quite a talented bunch. I will say, very talented. Even
they can play a lot of instruments. That's where I'll stop. I will concede that point.
You are not the vitriolic one. Out of the two of us, if that's not, you know what? I guess if you've listened to probably 5 episodes of this podcast, you probably know that. So, but it's awesome that's not what's happening today. It's awesome. This is a wild change of pace between our dynamic, just in general, not even with music. This is wonderful. Anyway, those are the band members for Thrice.
Yeah, they definitely all play a lot of instruments.
Wild. Absolutely. You are literally saying shit. This is great. This is great. Well, you know what? I don't know. I honestly, with time restraints being what they are, since I'm trying to keep these as best under an hour as I can anymore, there's a lot of stuff on this album. I will say it's very dense, and that, to Josh's point, could be to its detriment. It could be. It's absolutely in play. And Josh, I suppose we just get into the review?
Yeah, let's do it. Actually, before we do, I want your take on this, since this kind of resonated with you. Red sky. Do you see it as a positive or a negative? Like, is this red sky in the morning or is it red sky at night? And like, does the song cycle approach kind of influence that decision? Or is it like a both and?
It's kind of a both and a little bit. It does seem like more of a red sky at night situation.
Sailor's Delight.
Yeah. So, and it did feel positive to me, despite definitely not being. Like, I mean, the lyrical content is almost objectively not positive, while kind of still it's like trying to convey positivity when there's nothing around you that would lead you to believe you should even be positive in the first place. That's kind of how I took it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
Man, this is crazy. I love this. This is fantastic.
It's good stuff.
All right. Yeah.
I can't wait to see how the review goes, because my feelings toward this like really only impact one category.
Yeah, and one category, no matter how much I liked it, can't be good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good for us. Again, we'll say it 100 times probably, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm really glad we put ourselves in the cage that we did, because it's become very, very necessary at times.
Constraints.
Review. That's ticky-tacky as hell. Yeah. Welcome back to the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, gang. We are reviewing Vheissu by Thrice. It has been a wild ride thus far. As if a 30-second clip of a very generic metalcore song that I wrote in 25 seconds made you forget that somehow. So anyway, before we even get into this shit, did you see Tom Waits came up again?
No.
It was one of the things the singer really got into before they started writing the music for this. He started listening to a lot of Tom Waits.
I missed that entirely.
And I just thought, what are the fucking odds? So, we will go ahead and get into the rating of this thing here. Josh, what did you think of the artwork?
I gave it a 5. I absolutely love the artwork. And I had knocked it down to a 4 just because I didn't really think there was much connection between the actual visual and the album itself. But there is actually quite a bit of connection between the visual and the album itself. And there's even some of the song titles are on there.
Yeah.
Album artwork was done by renowned novelist and writer Dave Eggers, which
that's crazy.
That also kind of grinds my gears. Like,
I could see that.
This guy doesn't typically do artwork, and you had to go and get like a Pulitzer Prize nominee writer to do. Fucking come on, guys. I mean, this is one of those instances where concept met execution on this album for me, but a lot of it didn't. But this one really did come through. So Dave Eggers, and I think Brian McMullen is also credited in the artwork. But I think it's absolutely fantastic. Fantastic concept, fantastic layout, fantastic use of colors, like fantastic imagery. Like everything's just done really well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's 2 things visually that I love more than most things. It's nautical imagery from back in the day, like old maps with, the dragons where... Which it's funny that it wasn't there to try to indicate that there was a dragon. It was just to indicate the unknown and to just make sure that people knew that if you go there, there be dragons possibly. Yeah. And it's like, no, we're not saying there are actual dragons, but like if you go there, no one knows what's there. So good luck, buddy.
I didn't know that.
That's why they were
thing.
Yeah. Had nothing to do with actual like superstition or anything like that. Anyway, but I love that imagery. Like, honestly, it's one of those things where I think if I had like a bigger place and a room that could kind of be whatever, which I guess my office could be, I would actually probably buy nautical maps from that time period. That's how much I like that. And another thing I like is occult imagery. And this is a Ouija board. So it's like, I'm getting every itch scratched on this thing, and it's a 5 all day. It's wonderful.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, how about I go first on the production then, Vheissu?
That sounds great.
Because I don't know how those opinions that you had impacted that or not.
I don't either.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, for me, so obviously I'm gonna sound like a broken record, which isn't weird because that's kind of what I do. I love a symbiotic relationship between guitar and bass. I don't think you need to have a shit ton of gain on a guitar to make it heavy, though I don't always love low gain guitar tones on heavy records because I'm just a metal guy and I want my shit to have a lot of gain. But that isn't to say that something like this that is not a metal record, the bass makes the guitar heavy in this. They are perfectly symbiotic. But like this is my example of how that works so well. The kick drum
is now the bellwether.
Absolutely. So, and like the kick drum's almost too quiet, but he's got it mixed perfectly well with the bass guitar, so it comes through but never drowns anything out. I think the cymbals are like almost a little overly loud, but the high end frequencies of the cymbals are tampered down. So even though they come through loudly at times, they don't come through like in a way that's hurting my ears. Again, the August Burns Red Messengers effect. Right. They're not doing that. Even when they're loud, they're not ruining anything for me. I just think they're doing that at times as an expression. Well, it's a 5. I love it. And I think it holds up still because it's one of those things where they were on the type of label that had the means to make it sound timeless with a producer that is also timeless in what he seems to choose to produce and is involved in. So I think they landed the plane pretty hard, and yeah, I got no problems with it. What about you?
Yeah. So you actually talked me into bumping it up one, which puts it at a 4 for me.
All right.
It's not a 5 for me, and this is where I'm kind of taking your route on the production. Like, I think this guy either shared their vision too much or was just like too blah. Yeah, do whatever you want. But like,
sure,
for me, there's too many ingredients in here. Like where they could have he could have been like, I don't know, maybe only one of you plays the Rhodes. Or like,
yeah,
but he jumped in and I don't know, is credited with Moog. So like he
probably embraced
he's at least complicit in this.
for sure.
But like, you're right on the sound quality. Although for me, it was maybe a little thin at times, or a little tinny.
I could see that.
And the cymbals being too loud did bother me a little bit. You're right that they weren't like. They did tamp down the high frequencies, so it wasn't like an overly annoying thing, but they were definitely loud in parts where I didn't think like the hi-hat needed to be loud there. There was parts where like there was some intricate hi-hat work that was almost getting lost.
Yeah. That's super fair. Definitely not wrong there. And it just seemed like a choice. It never seemed kind of by accident, which is cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're definitely honestly, the cymbal thing could have taken me to a 4. I will admit. It's just I'm also kind of a sucker. Like we talked about it, I'm a sucker for loud cymbals as long as they're not making my ears bleed.
Right.
I essentially always want drums to be 4, and then I don't know why, because I'm a guitar player. I shouldn't even think that way. That's the weirdest thing, but all right, sick.
Yeah,
I mean, but you're right.
They had the big budget producer. They had, he's got the credentials. He's got the tenure. And he's not necessarily metal producer, and this album isn't necessarily a metal album, but like...
Yeah. Well, and it's cool to, like, if you know what, you actually brought it up, the Slipknot album, Subliminal Verses.
Yep.
You know, that's an artist trying to evolve and the producer not buying in at all.
Right, yeah.
You know, and it that's you can hear it. It's to the album's detriment. So yeah, it does suck that he probably... It sounds like they found the perfect marriage for better or for worse, which at times I could see why it would be for worse.
Right.
But at least it's that rather than what happened with Slipknot, where Corey Taylor still wants to kick Rick Rubin right in the face.
Right. Yeah.
So that's cool that they got a guy who was like huge and he came through for them and didn't let them down in any sort of way, which is cool.
He bought in and helped them realize what they wanted to do.
Yeah, which is sick.
Yeah. Which sometimes you get people on different sides of the fence when you let that happen.
That is very true. Yes, indeed. Impact at the time is a cruel mistress.
She sure is.
What did you give?
I gave it a 1. Like I said, I wasn't even aware. Like, I knew people knew Thrice, but nobody in our circle or nobody that I recall was really like, Thrice, dude, Thrice. Like, you got to get into Thrice. They weren't pushing it hard. Like, maybe they loved it quietly, but so it didn't, like, the musical style didn't really filter into anything I was doing personally. Like, I don't know what these dudes look like, so I couldn't tell you, like, yeah, man, they made me want to wear flannel. Or like,
that's fair.
They didn't bridge a gap with any other sects of music that we were listening to, or like,
sure.
It wasn't Thrice that was convincing me to hang out with Abra or somebody, or
right.
Yeah.
Did Abra have I want to say Abra had a Thrice shirt.
I think she probably did.
I can almost picture
certainly. Yep.
Yeah. It's a 1 for me. Impact at the time. I for the exact same reasons. This wasn't a band I remember hating or even really having an opinion on. There were many of those, and we have made amends with some of those bands while doing this podcast. But this one I never had any hatred toward. I just didn't care one way or the other, really.
Yeah, nothing.
So, so it's a 1, and it makes me sad.
Yep.
Brad, well, there you go.
How much did you enjoy listening to this today? Is it a 5? Okay.
And no notes because I've given them. So, Josh.
Yeah.
How much did you enjoy listening to this album today?
I gave it a 2.
All right.
So not a 1, but I couldn't muster a 3. And I did listen to it a few times. Like, I really tried to get into it. I tried to, like, pull it apart. There just really wasn't a lot there for me. Like, fair. In a weird way, I had the opposite experience you did. But, like, here's how I'll describe it. It's like, you know how you buy a sandwich at the gas station and they've got, like, all the meat and lettuce and tomato, like, right at the edge of the sandwich, and it looks like, oh, this is going to be a good sandwich. And then you unwrap it and you open it, and, like, that's all there is just that shit at the front of the sandwich.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boy.
I was hungry after this. I was let down in
that's fair.
Such a weird.
Well,
it's not bad, I'll say. Like, I didn't hate it. It wasn't necessarily even a struggle to get through. Like, even at 49 minutes, like, it just didn't do it for me. I don't hate the album. I'm annoyed at, like, some of the choices or some of the wiki that I read, which the previous album is equally long, so I don't have high hopes. Although I did enjoy Paper Tigers, I think.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah. It just didn't land. 2.
Dude, I think that's just this kind of deal. I think if you're going to put all your eggs in a basket and really like push your full, if you're going to go all in, you're going to have people who probably are just like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So I'm glad we both had this reaction, because this is probably how most react.
That is, yep.
Yeah, it's probably good. That's great. It does, the score of this total does make me a little sad. But also it's so unbelievably warranted. Again, nothing you said is anything I can so much argue with if not just give my perception as it might have been slightly different.
Right.
But I don't technically think anything you said was wrong.
Yeah.
Really. Which is wild. So, it's so funny how close our scores are. Josh, you ended up with a 12 for Vheissu.
Yep.
Whatever. And I ended up with a 16 for a total of 28. Didn't crack 30. Ugh.
That feels super right to me.
It does. It does. That's how you get the higher user score as opposed to the...
Yeah, I will say, if you're not familiar with Thrice or you haven't heard this album, like, give it a listen. Like, you could have the best day of your life, or it could just be background noise for what would otherwise be a perfectly fine day anyway. So, like, yeah. I don't think anybody's going to listen to this and be like, nah. Like, it's certainly not Pig Destroyer in that way. Like, it's palatable for sure.
Yeah. And even my comparisons to, like, Dillinger at times, it's none of that. I mean, again, I'm just saying there are moments where I'm like, I so see the thought process, how they're intertwined a little bit. But
Seether was another band I weirdly got a lot of.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah. There's a lot of like, there's grunge influence kind of in general, a little bit here and there too. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I will say it's very inoffensive either way. I think you don't have to like it to even think that. It's just, well, I do love the guy's voice though. I started asking you that earlier.
I'm only just okay with, like, sometimes it's really fantastic and sometimes I think it's pretty weak. Like, I don't think
interesting.
He's always got it figured out. Like, his voice has a nice timbre to it.
It's got a very rustic, like, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, like, it honestly sounds like he should be singing, and like how they have that intro in The Earth Will Shake where he's kind of got the old, like, vinyl thing put over the intro of the song. What am I trying to say? Filter. Like the vinyl filter over the intro of the song. He sounds right at home in like a BioShock game almost with the way his voice is, which is kind of cool, which also scares the shit out of me. That old-timey music.
Yes. I think there's a place where he could live really well, and I think he doesn't always do that. And I don't know if that's him trying to do too much or like trying to push his own boundaries and grow as a musician, but again, just
fair. I mean,
doesn't land for me all the time.
I get it. I feel like I kind of felt like his voice could be like that. Like it's just not usual in the space that we're in at all. No. He's just not really singing. His vocals. He's still like doing pretty low vocals, which is weird at the time. As far as like his register, you know, everyone was trying to go as high as humanly possible, and so I like that. It's also nice because I can kind of sing it, which is always because I can't sing very high.
Nice.
All right, so Thrice, Vheissu. I'm gonna go ahead and give my favorite song because I'm. Hang on.
Track 3. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say before you do, I'm putting money on it being the same one. But go ahead.
Track 3, The Earth Will Shake.
Tell me about it.
That is by a landslide my favorite song on the album. I mean, it's like it's got all of it. Like when he said that he wanted to only scream when he really felt like he pulled the Shai Hulud thing. You know what I mean? He just chose to do it in spots. That lands tremendously well for me in that song specifically. Like when he chooses to scream, it's at the perfect times, and I think it helps give some ups and downs to the track. I don't know. It's a little more acoustic focused when that's not going on, and I dig that too. I think they live pretty well there. The Chain Gang section I want to call it, for lack of a better term. You know what if you listen to it, you know what I mean. It does that. It reminds me of that whole like, "Oh brother, where art thou?" movie sort of situation. I think his voice in those moments is where he lives the best. I think his voice really hits in a moment like that more so than even most others. I think it's almost like he sounds like he's from that era all of a sudden somehow. And anyway, what about you?
The plates will shift, the earth will shake. Track 2, actually.
Well done.
Between the End and Where We Lie.
Sick. It's great. So, yeah.
To me, that was the most coherent song. Like, it had bits that resonated with me. It had bits that I liked musically. It didn't seem to, like, over spice the meat, as it were.
Well, sick. All right. Well, those 2 songs, as these always do, are going to go on our TDTL Favorites 05 playlist on Spotify. And you can check us out on Instagram at TDTL_podcast, should you so choose. Hey, seriously, Mick, listen to this, please, and either text me or reach out to us on Instagram. I would love it, Mick, if you listen to this. I could see this being something that could land in his radar a little more than, like, to your point, Pig Destroyer, because, come on, what are we doing?
Right.
All right. But yeah, that is our thoughts on Vheissu by Thrice.
Yeah, and we're going to post them on Instagram.
You goddamn right.
I guess with that, he's been Brad, I've been Josh, and we've been 2 decades too late.